am going to be dehydrating potatoes, and I use them for scallop potatoes. They're always nice to have at hand. So I'm using white potatoes. I've never really used anything other than white potatoes, so I'm not sure how anything else turns out. So the first thing I'm going to do is peel all my potatoes. And I've already started, so I'm halfway through. And all you want to do is make sure that everything is off there. If you see any bruising, anything at all, like say you see, I don't know if you can see that, there's a black spot there. That's a surface bruise. You can just take that right off. And I'm just going to put it in cold water until I'm ready to cut them. And when I'm done peeling all the potatoes, I'll come back. I've got my potatoes in here, and all I'm going to do is slice them. I have a very cheap slicer. It's like $9. Comes with a lot of attachments, but 2 for flat slicing, and I use the thinner one. There's 2. One for thick, one for thin, and I use the thin one. You don't want to forget to use your guard. You don't want to come close to this blade. Trust me, that is as sharp as a razor blade, and that will slice anything that gets in its way. So although we would think we're doing great if we, just skip that part, you may be skipping your way to the emergency if you take that chance. This goes really, really quick. It gets done in no time. And that's how thick they come out and how thin they come out. Very thin. You can't quite see through them. It goes in there. So when I'm done getting all these sliced, we're going to put this on the stove and then I'll come back. I had my temp up to high, brought it up to a boil, and this is the boil that I'm going to leave it at for 2 minutes. I know a lot of people you'll just do it for 1 minute, but for some reason when I do it for 1 minute only, they come out a little gray, and I know that they're not cooked enough. So for me, and with the water that I'm using and the stove that I have, it's for 2 minutes. Now I'm just turning that down a little bit. I don't want it to overflow, but just a nice soft boil. That's all you'll need. I'm going to drain these potatoes, and we want to get rid of all that starch on top. That white is actually starch. And we want to get rid of that because if it sits in the dehydrator, if there's too much starch on the potatoes, it'll go gray, black, that kind of thing. I just want to dump all that in. And I have ice water, very cold ice water sitting here. Woo! Steaming up the place. Woo! And I'm just going to kind of drain it a little bit. And then put them directly in. Hold on until I get my gloves off. Put them right into that ice water. There we go. And you want to cool that down real quick. You don't want to keep them cooking. The whole point is not to overcook them, but cook them enough to get the starch out. And I usually just gently stir them. You'll be amazed at how quick the water temperature will get hot even with a lot of ice in it. So when this is all cooled, I will come back and we'll put them on the dehydrating tray. They're all cool, nice and cool. What I normally do is lay them on a paper towel. This is not something you have to do. This is just something that I do because it kind of makes sense to me to pat them dry a little bit before they go into the dehydrator, especially in that cold water. So I just pat them down a little bit, not overly so, just a little. And then I lay them down on my dehydrating trays. These are going to crinkle up really quick. And they do shrink down to practically nothing, in my opinion, but they're so worth to have. especially when you're having scalloped potatoes. Scalloped potatoes are very expensive in the store when you buy those little packets, and there's not a whole lot in it. And you could do all kinds of other potato casseroles with these as well. And all you have to do is store them in your pantry, and you're good to go for a while. So easy to do too. Super easy. Not a lot of prep work. And you may have somebody in the house that actually likes to peel potatoes, so if you're one of those lucky people, then you'll really have not much to do. So I'm going to lay these out. I'm going to make 5 trays of these. I'm going to put them at 125 to 130 because that seems to work well for my dehydrator. And they'll run for about 10 to 12 hours. And then you just take them out and store them. So I'm going to load these up, and when they're all done dehydrating, I will come back and show you how it turned out. They're all dry. They took about 12 hours to do. They turned out really nice, nice and crisp. I don't know if you can hear that. There you go. Usually what I do is when I dehydrate, I put things on first thing in the morning and they dehydrate before I go to bed, or I put them on before I go to bed and they dehydrate when I get up. What I did forget to mention is when you're doing a lot of potatoes and you've cooked all your potatoes, you put them in the ice water and you've put your racks on, you put your potatoes in your racks, but there's still more potatoes in the ice water. Put the potatoes in the ice water in the fridge. They'll keep fine there, and when it's time to put another batch on, just go ahead and repeat the process. Take them out, tap them down with paper towel, and put them on the trays for the second round. They will turn out just as good as the first batch, even if it's the next day. So that's just a tip. So I've done all of these. I've done all of these. I'm going to put them in a mason jar, and I'm going to keep dehydrating the rest of my potatoes until they're all done. So that's how I do my potatoes. Till next time. Hey, dough.